And we should be good. We're live. So welcome everybody. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's doing well. We have John Mariana tonight as our speaker. We have I think it was 9 entries for our photo challenge this month. We've got a couple of trips we're going to talk about, and workshops, and a special event that we have coming up next month that kind of just tease you about that and give you more details later. But we'll go ahead and get started here. Let me share my screen. All right, whoops. All right, can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and we shall get started. Welcome to our April meeting. And we're going to do the same format that we normally do. We'll talk a little bit about club business. We'll talk about events. We'll have our presentation, and then we'll do our photo challenge. So we have a lot of new members. One thing that's been really exciting is that even with the pandemic, we've had a lot of new members join the group. We do offer a paid membership. If you want to join, it's $20 for an individual, $30 for a family. It's for the calendar year. You can see some of the benefits there. And if you go to northgeorgiaphotographyclub.com and click on members, you can see a list of all of the benefits. It kind of evolves over time, but if it's not going to work for you to be a paid member, you can still attend club meetings and still go on trips. And as a non-paid member, basically that you can't enter the photo challenges. But if you have any questions, just contact me. I have a little image here of the new website. We got it going live last month. And it's northgeorgiaphotographyclub.com. I know some people were having issues connecting to it. Is anyone who's on the Zoom tonight still having issues with that? I'm not hearing anybody, so that's good. But if you do have issues, let us know on the Facebook page. Corey posted a workaround, and probably by next month, we should have that SSL situation fixed. And then when Corey's microphone is working, we'll give you guys a live demo of the website, but everything is working on it. So upcoming trips, we only have one specifically scheduled, and that's tomorrow. That's the EarthQuest Birds of Prey. That was one because they charged money we had to charge, and so everybody who's going already knows they're going. But underneath this, I have a list of some of the things that Dick and Michelle have been working on for club trips. And so I'm going to let Dick or Michelle, or both of you, talk about upcoming trips.
Michelle's the bashful one. But part of the problem is the pandemic, and part of the problem is the weather. I was up to Sosebee Cove earlier this week, and I think end of next week, beginning of the following week is going to be prime time up there. Lots of good wildflowers. It's a short trail, although the topology of the place is such that sometimes it's very difficult to get a good shooting angle on things. Still a gorgeous place to go. Shirley Miller, I'm not sure if that isn't past peak, but I think it's still worth a shot. And I will schedule that as soon as I can pick a date. I'll probably have to throw a dart at the calendar, and I personally may not be able to go. I was surprised to see the Hale to Atlantic balloon race is still actually scheduled. Be 3 mornings in a row when they have balloon liftoffs in Helen at 7 a.m. till June 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I believe. The 3rd being the actual start of the race, the other 2 just being local events. And then the rest of it are things that Michelle and I would like to do, although we haven't really thought hard about scheduling yet. So for anybody, and I mean anybody who's actually got some reason to want to go to one of these places on a given date, give me a shout by email or Facebook or whatever, and we will pin that in the calendar. In addition, anybody who's got any other destinations in mind, speak up. This list is pretty much what Michelle and I decided we wanted to do. So if anybody wants to do something else, say so, and I'll put it on the calendar.
Yeah, let us know. The Sloss Furnaces trip that we did last year, Bob Kelly was the one. He had posted some pictures about that, and everybody loved those. And so we went ahead and created a trip for that. Jim Durfee lives up in Blairsville, and he's constantly posting pictures of sunset at Notley Lake and shooting the Milky Way there. And that's what resulted in us doing the Milky Way trip up there last year. I went ahead, I added to Dick's list, I put Milky Way on the bottom because we always seem to do a Milky Way trip somewhere. I don't know if we'll do Notley Lake, if we'll go back to Watson Mill, Brasstown Bald, but or somewhere else, but we'll throw that in there. If it's not canceled, we'll throw Dragon Con, the Dragon Con parade in there also. But yeah, feel free to reach out if you have an idea for a trip, and we can get that scheduled. And also, sometimes things just come up at the last minute. One of our best trips was actually the first time we did Brasstown Bald. Somebody mentioned it that morning on the Facebook page, and we quickly organized it. There was no way to create an event post on Facebook with that little time, but we just posted on there, if you want to go, just meet there at such and such time. And I think we had like 15 people on that impromptu trip. So, if you ever want to go shooting somewhere and you don't want to go alone, just post on Facebook that you're going to wherever and see if any members want to join you. One other thing that we'll probably try to do that's not on this list is the Somerville excursion, the steam train chase, if they have it this year. I looked at their schedule yesterday or the day before, and they only have local trips just in the Chattanooga area. They don't have anything scheduled going from Chattanooga to Somerville yet. So hopefully that'll change. And if they do, we'll schedule that in there somewhere. But yeah, speak up if you have a trip, if you have suggestions, and we'll get it scheduled. And we've got our workshops starting. Our first workshop of the year is going to be next week, April 22nd. It's going to be a night photography a discussion. We're doing this workshop on Zoom. The workshop is only for paid members. It's free for paid members. So if there's it's somebody on here who's not a paid member, who'd like to attend that workshop, go ahead and pay for the membership. Membership costs less than a normal charge would be for a workshop. And I'm going to let Timmy talk. She's been setting up these workshops and also special events. The other thing we have on there is a special event with Chris Greer at Hurricane Shoals Park. It's going to be special hands-on shooting and editing instructions. There will be a fee for that, but it's going to be a discounted fee for club members. So Timmy, hopefully I didn't say everything you were about to say, but let you speak for a little bit.
Yeah, Mike, I think you stole my thunder.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, it's no big deal.
My head's down.
No, that's quite all right. But no, yeah, we've got Heather Hyam coming on April 22nd. That one's the one via Zoom. She's been photographing the auroras and the Milky Way in northern Michigan for several years now, and does some amazing work. You can check out her work at snaphappygal.com. If you just want to kind of see what it's all about, to see if you're interested in that workshop. She's going to be doing introduction to night sky photography, but she's doing, lens selection, settings, some editing guidance, suggestions on planning your shot. So I think that'll be a really good one. Her work is amazing. And that'll be fun. Luckily, like Mike said, we can do that via Zoom. And then the Chris Greer workshop, that one's been, we've been trying to work on that one, and we've had some issues with dates and all kinds of stuff, but I think we've got it finalized finale here. And so, yeah, May 23rd at Hurricane Shoals. I've never been there, but others have been. And Chris said it was, he actually did a one-on-one thing the other day and said that was a really great location. And he was pretty excited. I don't guess he'd been there before. And so he was pretty excited about it. So anyway, so that one will be the morning anyway of May 23rd. And it sounds like he's got a jam-packed program for us on May 23rd.
Yeah, we'll get that posted on Facebook probably next week. And I'll create a payment button on the website so that folks who want to go can go ahead and pay. I think, what was it, 15? We're going to have to limit it to 15 people.
Yeah, he said somewhere 13 to 15, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you just get too many on a hands-on thing like that, and you can't teach. So we'll keep that up. And I know Timmy is working on some other workshops. Another I'm not going to give his name, but it's a photographer that a lot of people here probably are familiar with. He does a lot of nature and macro photography. We're going to try to get him scheduled to do a workshop. And if any of you know someone who would be good at doing a workshop or would like to do a workshop, contact Timmy. I know that when we did the survey back in the winter, people were talking about workshops for editing, Lightroom, Photoshop, things like that. Workshops on composition and in the field. So any ideas or suggestions, contact Timmy on Facebook, and we can go ahead and get that organized also. Remember, I say this all the time, it's not my club. The club does not belong to the planning committee. It's everybody's club. It's all of our club. And so we want to do what you guys want to do. So now we get to our presentation. John Mariana. John, I got a little introduction in case some people aren't familiar with you. John actually did speak to us. It was either in 2013 or 2014 when we were meeting in Dahlonega. And so we shouldn't have taken so long to get you back, but I'm glad we did. But for those of you who are not familiar with John's work, John is a photographic artist. He depicts the world as first seen within his mind. His heart provides the emotional content. Color, light, shadows, and special relationships are combined to bring you into his world, to have you feel the world as he feels it. John has conducted numerous workshops across the United States, and he's a founding member of the Booth Photography Guild at the Booth Art Museum in Cartersville. He's also won numerous awards for his large print images and regularly donates his work and talents to nonprofit endeavors. So John, give me a second and I will share the screen. Let's see here. Okay, you should be able to share your screen, John.
Hey. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me in. I'm impressed there are a good number of people who have signed on tonight. That's wonderful. So thank you in a number of ways. Also, I will say, well, let me get started. I'd first say that anyone who, every Saturday at 2 o'clock, I teach a free workshop on Photoshop. This weekend will be on Nik Silver Effects Pro 2, which is for creating black and whites. Some on some of the Topaz modules, some on just simply composition of flowers, landscapes, things like that. So if you're interested in attending, it's free. Just send me an email and I will get you on my email list. If you're on my general email list, you should be getting the announcements anyway. But if you're not, send me an email. Send it to, I should have it up here. I think I have it at the end, but let me say it. It's J Mariana, JMariana, photography @gmail.com. John, or J rather, J Mariana photography @gmail.com. And I'll put you on my list and you can attend this Saturday at 2:00. I'd be pleased to have you. All right, nature captured and presented. Start the presentation. Capturing special moments in nature is just wonderful, and how you present them is so important. So I'll go through a number of things related to that. But first, I think it's important to know that there are really today, because of the advancements in digital photography, more and more there, I see it split between documentary nature, very good photography, and artistic reality. I call it artistic reality, and I'll show you the difference when we get into it, because there's so many packages now, software packages, that allows you to present your work in a very different artistic way. So documentary, very special. Artistic reality. Nature captured and presented, really, there are three major aspects, I believe, to presenting captured nature, but anything, whether it's landscapes or any type of photography, is instant impact. If you are submitting your work to a competition, when the judges look at all the images that will be in the competition, and there's maybe they get 100 images and there's need to select 30. When they are going through the first run of those images, they go through it very quickly. It's on a screen less than a minute, less than a second. And you need to have instant impact that impresses them. Strong compositions, and I'll explain each of these as we go through some of the shots. Strong composition and the presentation. How do you want to present it? Pure documentary with beautiful backgrounds and so on, or do you want to present it artistically? So instant impact. The minute it hits the screen, it's there. And you look at where the highlight is and the sharpness and the use of foreground and background being softer than the foreground, but instant impact. I'll give more details of this, but strong composition, leading lines, foreground, middle ground, background, all those aspects, good detail in the shadow areas, good detail in the highlight areas, nothing blown out. And then the final presentation. Should it be directly as you shot it? Well, that's not quite the truth, but you don't need to be doing what I'm calling artistic reality, but the final presentation is very important, and it's however you want to present it. So instant impact. The most important part about an instant impact is that it hits the screen and instantly tells a story and elicits an emotion. It's not just, oh, it's a shot of a bird. Oh, it's a shot of a frog. It tells a story and elicits an emotion. So what's so difficult about making these kinds of images? You just use the right lens, isn't that right? And no, not at all. It's timing, all kinds of things. But let me point out the difference between when we shot film, you'd load your camera, you expose, take it to a processor and receive prints and processed film. What you didn't understand, or maybe didn't know, is that the processor improved those negatives quite a bit. They improved the white balance, the exposure, highlights, sharpness of the images before they made the prints and the processed film. Well, what happens with digital? We have a sensor, we expose, and then we do prints and digital files. Well, what happens in between? Why, so many times somebody will say, well, it's right out of the camera. It was never right out of the camera when we did film. And today we need software in order to do those enhancements on the digital images, whether they're RAW or JPEG, white balance, exposure, highlights, sharpness. You need some sort of software, some software that'll do that. A lot of people using Lightroom. I've used Lightroom. I mainly use Photoshop because I do layers and composites and things of that nature. If you're not using layers or composites, Lightroom is fantastic. But digital requires you to do some things with software before you have your final images. Also today, in the cameras themselves, so much has been improved that of course, you always could do white balance, your exposure, look for the highlights and sharpness. The histogram would tell you whether you have things overblown or out of detail, shadows, highlights, so you could adjust. You can color enhance in the camera. You still need to do maybe some white balance, exposure adjustments and highlights later, but which is better? My preference is to use software afterwards. I still do some things in the camera, but not as many as someone just using the camera. And the reason is I shoot in RAW because I often make very large prints. I want the most pixels that I can get and the best quality of pixels that I can achieve. And that occurs by shooting RAW and not having the camera do a lot of things to that raw image. I want to do it with a software which is much more powerful than the software that's in the camera. It's getting so much better and it's hard to think whether one's better than the other today. But instant impact, we'll go back to that, tells a story, elicits an emotion. This little frog I photographed in Costa Rica. The light was just working well. The foreground a little sharp, the background out of focus, but the highlight is right on the eyes of the frog. So how does your eye enter an image? Whether it's a nature shot or landscape or portrait, your eye, because we read in our culture left to right, your eye enters from the left and moves across the image. So you really need to have things that impact instantly as the eye is moving across. How does your eye stay in the image? Usually by something on the right-hand side that I call a containment to bring your eye back in, or in this one, it's a little darker in that lower right-hand corner, so your eye comes back into the image to the lighter area. And where does your eye rest? It rests on the brightest area in the image. So brightest area, instant impact, your eye stays right on that frog and right to the face of the frog. Elicits a story, elicits an emotion, the expression gives an emotion, the pause in the front tell a story. The whole aspect of this image is to tell the story. Instant impact and tells a story, elicits the emotion. Same with this one. And I at first called these documentary. I wish I had a better word for this. These are true nature shots captured with that background in there, different than if I'm artistically changing the background and putting something in there to emphasize the main element of the image. But this tells a story instantly. And it elicits the emotion of, oh my goodness, there's a battle going on or something happening instantly. And it fills the screen really well. No great areas of nothing happening. It's there. Certainly elicits an emotion. Wonderful composition. The darker face within the center of the other two, the baby, the mom. I was in the Atlanta Zoo and looking up at this orangutan and the little baby, and the guard said, the baby's not that orangutan's child. It's a female orangutan, but the parents of the baby died, and the orangutans will adopt that child. So this mother, this female, adopted that baby, and I'm standing there watching, and then this happened. Yes, that elicits the emotion and highlights more on the face. From here to here, the composition of the arm stretching out over the wood on the left-hand side is a better composition. Mom looking right at the baby tells a story, elicits the emotion. Same with this, instant impact. The dark background creates more of a three-dimensionality. When there's something light against dark, it creates three-dimensionality. And the highlight of this is right around the head. Tells the story. Wow, look where the highlight is. Where does your eye stay? Now, I said, we read left to right. Often I am saying to many of the students that I have, flip the image horizontally. I will do that with this one. Now, when you come in from the left, you're looking right into the faces. Watch the difference of how you relate to this image. When it's this way, and your eye comes in from the left, sees the mama, sees the baby, and follows the hand, the arm, down off through the right-hand side of the image, and you're off the image. This one, you come in, the arm is leading you right up to the main part of mama, and then the baby, and the darker area on the right-hand side is what I'm calling containment. It pushes the eye back in because you see darkness there, nothing to see, so you come back into the image. Very important of how you present the image. Certainly elicits the emotion. Instant impact. Good detail everywhere going on. So when you're capturing these kinds of images, the depth of field is so important in relation to what you're about to photograph and how it comes together. And certainly you're doing shot. You're clicking away as the two birds are coming together. Captured that special moment, and those little three chicks down there, so good. Mama coming in, same with this. Wow, that is so well captured. The timing, the shutter speed to freeze the action, and captured right as the little one has its beak open and mama's about to put some food into it. Instant impact elicits emotion. Well, how about for nature as well, just to get away from the idea of birds and animals, but nature. Look at the foreground and look at the leading line going right back to the center. And this one, this image actually goes against the rule of thirds. The main element is in the center. It works really well. And your eye comes in from the left, and that larger rock and two rocks on the right-hand side are very important. They are the containments that push your eye back into the center of the image. Night shots and leading lines lead you right up into the night scene. The color, the sunsets, we are taken so much by sunrises and sunsets. And when we first start doing photography, we're usually shooting in midday because the light is so bright and everything looks great. Finally, we realized that is not the best light to be photographing. So we are often at some places spectacular beauty, but the setting sun and the colors in the sky add to it. I came up with another concept related to this. I'll show you. I call it a place to stand. I am providing you in this image a place for you to stand and look in the image. You then relate more to that image because you're feeling you could be there. If that piece of the foreground is removed, you don't have a place to stand, you are looking at the image. This way, you're not only looking at that distant mountain, but you feel you could be standing there looking at it. Here, you're looking at it, but you're not feeling it the same way. So keep that in mind with when you're doing your nature photography or landscapes or whatever it is. This is one of the magnolias. When I first moved to Atlanta, I couldn't believe the beauty of a magnolia blossom. So I kept trying to photograph it on the tree, and I couldn't, it just wasn't the special light that I wanted. So I took a bud off the tree. Yes, I took it off the tree, took it home, put it in water, and in the next morning, it just started open slowly, and I could just click, click, click as it was creating the composition that I wanted. Strong composition overall. Think of the rule of thirds. Left to right, as I talked about. Leading lines and containments. I'll explain that even more. And special light. Oh, special light is so important. Front light, back light, side light, above. Not just front light, but back light, especially with landscapes, the backlight or the birds that are lit up from behind. Beautiful. And the brightest area of the image. So strong composition, rule of thirds. Shot this little frog in Costa Rica, and I called it I Am So Happy. And if you look at the rule of thirds, see the cross points, the power points are right where his eye and the stem and his hand, all those things. And the brightest area is there. Darker background makes it more three-dimensional. Left to right. I photographed this in the Smoky Mountains, and the water was flowing down, good shutter speed to make it smooth, but good have detail. Now, when I flip this, and the problem is, I flip it, or I want to flip it, because as your eye comes in from the left, it goes over the rocks, and the water takes you out of the right-hand side. So if I flip this horizontally, your eye comes in from the left and goes up, and I'll bet you see those rocks now more than you did before. They are prominent. I'll come back to this one. And you really don't pay much attention to the rocks, and it leads you out of the right-hand side. Now I'm bringing you into the image. You see more of the water really, and those rocks are prominent, and those are containment that push you back into the center of the image. Shot this in Costa Rica also, and the kingfisher, very difficult to catch them. And even though I had a long lens, he was way off, but he had the fish in his mouth. Oh, yes. Well, I was able to crop in because I had good pixels, was a raw file. So I did this. Now, left to right, think about this. Flip it. I'm reading it now, left to right. I look right into the eye rather than this. And more importantly, that tree takes you out of the right-hand side. Now the tree brings you right in to the bird. Fill the screen, composition, and left to right, fill it up with what's important. Capture that moment when the wings are fully extended and the claws are on the tree and the eye is looking out at you, so that you come in from the left and then possibly go out that way. If I flip this one around, as good as this is, I flip this image horizontally. Now you come in and you look right into the face. Left to right again. It's taking you out the right-hand side. Now you're coming in, you're looking right into the face of the bird. The large wings in this fill that right-hand side and bring you back in. Here, you almost jump over the wings and look at the head of the bird, and that takes you out of the right-hand side. Now those wings are containments, bringing you back in to look at the head of the bird. Good detail, not cut off. Another example, left to right, you come in, your eye is going from the left, you hardly even look at that waterfall. Flip it, boy, that waterfall becomes prominent. Leading lines, strong composition, leading lines. They lead you to where the photographer wants you to go. Wanted you to see the bird. I wanted you to see it was looking right at me. And those are containments and leading lines above it. Leading line, right up to the main element of this image. Leading line. Look at the leading lines here. And it violates the rule of third, which is wonderful in this case. That centerpiece, the horizon is high, the foreground is beautiful, and all of those leading lines taking you right to the center point. Even in the sky, the lines of the clouds are leading you down to there. Very important aspects of any type of image. A leading line, taking you right to the frog. Containment, pushing you back into the frog. Special light. Well, special light is so important. When I first started photography, I just thought, oh, any light, any light. No, it is not just any light. I thought this was so creative. It looks like he's riding a bike, and it's the plant, and it's sitting on the plant. So special light. Sort of light almost from behind. It's above and sort of to the upper left. Bird's wings fully extended, every bit of detail there. Shallow depth of field, but great detail from the head back through the wings, all the wings spread out beautifully. Well done. Instant impact, elicits an emotion, fills the screen. Front light works really well in this case, but it's soft light because there's detail in every area that is high key. No blown out areas that are especially in the face. Soft light, that evening light, beautiful. This was shot by a friend of mine, Jerry Black. And I said, okay, Jerry, you shot the two birds and then put them together. He said, no, this is the 1000th shot I made that day. And they were flying in that combination. Side light, rear light, the light coming from up above and down onto the bird, but good detail in every area that needs to have detail. Shadow area within the bird, direction of the light, direction of the light. Sometimes taking a color image and converting it to a sepia can really make a difference and allow it to stand out. Doesn't always need to be full color. In fact, I think this one, my preference, is this sepia version of this image. And a little bit of a combination of the sepia and the color. Full color with a little bit of a softness to it. So I used a filter and put a softness into the image overall, create more of an artistic. So now we're getting closer to artistic reality of the images that I'm presenting. Direction of the light, it's right there. The area on the right-hand side, darker, bringing your eye back in. And where does your eye rest? On that bright area. Oh, you can't help but to see the leading lines in this image and the detail all throughout that and the light coming down from the upper right. Very special light all through this image. And if it wasn't projected on the screen this way, there you would see detail in that dark area in the lower right and detail in the upper area. An amazing image. There you go, right to the main part of this image by that leading line. Light from above, filling in, special light. I shot this one actually in Disney World on one of the islands. And I thought, wow, I kept photographing as the bird was moving across. I could see it coming closer to the water. And I thought, wow, this is really great because it will bring leading lines that will bring you all the way around so that you continue to see the image. Brightest area, immediate eye. Well, I shot this in Costa Rica, but where's the brightest area? Well, it's in those highlights in the background. I couldn't move so that I could get a different perspective. And coming in from the left, I'm looking into the belly of the frog. So let me adjust this a bit, not making it truly an artistic reality, I'm doing some enhancements. So the first is to flip it horizontally. So you're now looking into the face rather than here, you're looking into the belly, into the face. Those bright areas in the background I need to remove. I should crop a little more so that you come right in on what I want you to see. But I need to remove that bright highlight, bring it in, darken the background, and brighten up the frog. So the final presentation and the cropping, now that tells the story. Instantly you see the frog, and that's where your eye stays. Rule of thirds. I downloaded this one from the web. I think it's such a phenomenal shot. Three-dimensional. It stands out, special light. Even with the dark areas that have no detail, this is an amazing image and it has such three-dimensionality to it. And you can't help but keep your eye right there. Special light elicits emotion, instant impact, the brightest area right there. Brightest area. You notice how the photographer here has faded out some of the areas. And often you will have another flower in the background, could be very distracting. But in this case, it's so soft back there that it keeps your eye here and the brightest areas there, but also because that is so sharp, that's where your eye will go compared to the other parts of the image. Brightest area, beautiful composition, beautiful colors, leading line coming right down to the drop. And that's where you stay. Very interesting image. What a capture. And the light, where is it coming from? It's sort of almost like it's coming from inside the orb or coming up from the bottom, but it is where your eye goes, is right on the insect pushing that. That's the action. And it's emphasized, and wonderful use of the black background. So let's look at the overall presentation of things. The artistic reality enhancement aspect of nature photography. This is a single tone. It's not enhanced in any other way than to present it in this single tone, but I still would consider this very artistic, very well done. Fills the screen wonderfully. The detail is there. Every aspect of this is beautiful. Single tone, mostly throughout the image, fills the screen. A single tone. The composition is so good. All of that curve to the tree. Now, maybe that was done with software. I don't know. The light brings your eye right into it. A composite. This is a shot that I did of the hummingbird that was flying around those flowers, but I couldn't get him or her to be right at the flower. So photograph the flower and then put them together. So now I'm getting into what is artistic reality. It's a composite. This is a composite. Shot this up in the Smoky Mountains. The light rays were coming down. The fog was in the morning. The scene was so beautiful. And I was trying to wait and wait and wait for an elk to come through. We went up there at the time that the elk rut was going on. And it just wouldn't go through. But I did photograph that elk and another portion of the park. So I just put them together. Now, this is a composite only in the sense that the male elk was collecting the females. This was during the rut. He was collecting the females, but the female in this shot was a little bit more to the left, almost near the left side. So I brought the female closer to the male so that it would tell that story. And the male was looking right at the female. But everything else was there, but it's a composite in the sense that I moved the female. Down in Costa Rica, and the sloth is up in the tree, and I'm trying to get I'm moving around so I don't get all those bright highlights behind. At least if I can get a good capture of the sloth and then adjust the image by putting in a different background, I can create something very good. So that's the piece that I wanted. And this is how I present it. So I have the foreground and the leaves down underneath him there, and then replaced the background so that he stands out, and that tells the story of him, but it is an enhanced artistic reality of what I photographed. Same here, was in the zoo, shooting through glass. I kept thinking, he looks very angry at me for interrupting his little whatever. Okay, but if I crop and I do something more, I can present this in a more interesting way. So I take them and put a sky in and zoom in on them, because I have a good number of pixels, I can do this, zoom in on them and put the sky in, and gives a whole different presentation to this. Then I thought maybe even a different background so that they are out in the wild. So I'm doing something artistically. This is my favorite national park. I do workshops in Yosemite. This is Yosemite. I didn't do workshops there. And this is one of the locations I take the workshop so that they can get this perspective. That's the Merced River flowing right through the center, El Capitan on the left and Three Brothers on the right. This is a panorama. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shots. And it was handheld. You need, when you're doing a panorama, you want to overlap by a third. Well, some of these are overlapped by 50%, almost 60%. It doesn't matter. You just don't want to do less than a third. And it put them all together, and then I enhanced the image to give the presentation. El Capitan. Now I did panoramas, and look at the overlap here, but they are vertical shots done horizontally. And then put them all together and bring out the colors that are really there. And that's the final presentation based on those 4 panoramic shots. So the impact of contrast, about color in black and white. This is an amazing image. I found this on the web. In fact, I recommend a website, the number 1 followed by the letter X.com, 1x.com. This was on that site. There are all kinds of images, beautiful. It's just good to go through and see and learn. But here's another one of those times of breaking the rule of thirds. But look at the highlight in the sky, how it brings your eye back down and circles that mountain in the background and all the leading lines in the foreground of the detail. And every area, every shadow area has detail in it. Beautiful. Black and white. Actually, this one does not work as well as that beauty in color. So I did the black and white, then improved the contrast, which makes a big difference in that black and white. So many times somebody thinks, and I've worked with people and I've taught workshops and classes on this, taking a color image and turning it into a black and white, and they just think, okay, that's it. That's the black and white. No, first of all, the color image must have all the enhancements you need. Then you take it in and do black and white. But it's flat overall. So you need to provide that contrast and the detail. Look at the detail in the foreground now and all throughout the other parts of the area. Now that's a good black and white representation. An image like this, instant impact, wonderful composition, beautifully done overall. Even as a black and white, and you have the bird standing out very nicely. This one, black and white, really has quite an impact. In fact, this one, I prefer the black and white over this color image. Striking. When I first saw this one, I thought, ah, yes, this is so neat with all the feathers like that. That's just special. And then I flipped it horizontally. As you come in from the left, and you're really coming down to the head and sort of out the right-hand side. When I flip it, all those feathers on the right and the higher level over there brings you back down, and you look right into the face right from the beginning, from here to here. Magnolias in black and white with a black background. Other flowers. So often I see these beautiful color images that they also will make really beautiful black and white prints. This is done by a friend of mine. Her name is Darcy Pino. She shot this in Costa Rica. Black and white of the magnolias again. Another one on a white background. So it's a high key image, meaning there is no black area. There isn't any strong mid-tone grays. They are grays that are a little brighter than mid-tone up through the highlights, and all the white areas have detail other than the background. Another one of those images. Boy, you come in from the left, you know what I'm going to do with this image. How well it reads this way. Beautiful, instant impact, pure nature shot, simple background, and read it this way. Another one of those images, instant impact. And it's a black and white sepia tone image. The animal fills that empty space under the tree, and the tree is actually mimicking the horns on the animal. Wow, what a special image. Shadow, dark against light. The tree up in the left brings you back in. The heavier tree on the right pushes you back in. Reflection. Wonderful reflections. Zoom in so that the impact occurs instantly and the reflection is sharp. Take that to a black and white. But as a sepia, it works a little better. But on this one, that image is so good, and the composition overall is so good. So I thought I'd try it that way and try it that way. It just doesn't work the same. So nature, digital art, artistic reality, even more so. One of the members of the Booth Photography Guild, Sally Hale, does this kind of work. She photographs, of course, the bird and puts in the background. All the foreground where the bird is standing is actual, but then she does some other things to make this artistic, beautiful images. Another one of hers. So artistic, yes, very pretty. Nature, captured, presented, instant impact, strong compositions. Can't get past that. That's vital. And presentation, overall presentation is what we're talking about through the whole aspect of any type of nature, any type of photography, really. I'll just end with, I have a couple books out. One is volume 2. I won't go through these a lot. Volume 3 on various aspects of, they're all Photoshop books, and they're exercises, and you download the images that I use in the book and you work the exercises along with them. Volume 4, if you're not familiar with Photoshop, this starts with the very basics of Photoshop, layers, and then goes into what are masks and so how to make selections. And on Nick Silver Effects Pro 2, have that volume. And I have one on Yosemite because it is my favorite location. And you see the number of sections. So I give you not only the photo of where that is, I give you the coordinates so you can get right to that location for when you go through the book and you're out in Yosemite. So my website, marianaphotography.com. And again, if you need to send me or want to send me an email, and if you would like to be on my email list, if you're not on it, if you haven't received an email from release recently, you are not on it, jmarianaphotography@gmail.com. I also do tutoring one-on-one, and with Zoom, I can do that. I do the free 1-hour class on Saturdays at 2 o'clock, and this Saturday will be on Nik Silverflex Pro 2, and I'm showing some really artistic work, color work that can be brought in and the various ways that you can just use a preset in Nik Silverflex Pro 2 and create a beautiful, beautiful black and white. One last thought, the nature of people. Watch this, flora persona. Every part of that is a human being, every part. Even that long stem curling up, that you're looking at the back of people, back of women, I guess. Real people. Every part there is a real person. Every part. Yes, you can do it. Just learn one step at a time and keep going. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for listening to me. Check out my works, my website, and send me an email if you'd like to be on my list. This is one of Darcy's that she shot in Costa Rica. This is one that I shot in Yosemite, and I thought, geez, John, the tree is in the way of Half Dome. Why don't you just move a little bit? Change the perspective of what you're photographing, because that's the most important part. So I just moved to the left. There's the mountain. There's the sun shining through. I get a sunburst. There's a containment keeping you down into the image. What a difference. So just work at it. It gets easier as you go. So thank you for allowing me to talk to you tonight and enjoy being with you. Thank you much. I'll give back the screen to you, sir, and we can ask some questions.
Yeah, thank you, John. And before we ask questions, just a word of warning. My computer did mess up during the presentation. I have 2 screens. I'm down to 1. I don't know how that'll affect the rest of the program, but I sent the PowerPoint to Bobby Campbell, and if I'm not able to access it when we do the presentation, he'll be able to bring that up. But yeah, does anybody have any questions for John?
So to attend the 2 p.m. class, do we go in through your website?
No, when you send me the email and want to be on there, you'll
Okay.
receive a Zoom link, and you
Okay.
just click that at 1:45. There's a lot that people get on at 1:45 and do a little socializing, and then at 2 o'clock I start. So you'll get a Zoom link, click on it, and you come right in. I don't even need to admit you. It's automatically admit you as you click the link.
Okay.
I stunned everybody. You can't.
It was good. Thank you.
A lot of good comments on here.
I don't have a question, but the imagery was unbelievable.
There are some special nature photographers, and really I'm showing those not to say, oh, this is how you have to be, but to give you an idea of what can be done and what is done in the sense of capturing that special moment. And that means that somebody is clicking, 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 and then they're there and they're watching what's happening and they catch that action.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you capture some of these images with the birds with their wings and fully extended and so forth, are you using like fast multiple speed shots, or just the timing and you can get it on one shot?
No, good question. When I say no, good question in the sense of, if you are using a camera that doesn't have pro capture, because that will do a lot for you. But if not, then you should be shooting and something like that, probably at a 2000 ISO, 1500 to 2000 ISO. And your depth of field is the aperture. I'm assuming you're shooting in manual mode. So you've set the aperture to capture the detail of the bird and the softness in the background, the shallow depth of field. The ISO is set very high to freeze the action, and the shutter speed, actually it should be no less than 1/60th, so that you're not getting camera shake. So in that case, depending on the light, of course, I'm just giving you general settings, but I would always start with 1500 ISO. The newer cameras, say 5 years ago, you set an ISO at 500. I had a D300 Nikon. And if I set it anything higher than a 500 ISO, I had noise in the image. Now I have an Olympus and I can set it at almost 3,500 or 4,000 and I get no noise in the image. The sensors have improved that much. So a high ISO, it allows you to have a very fast shutter speed. Actually, when I said 60th, you should be shooting, if you're shooting birds like that, you should be shooting at somewhere around 1,000th of a second. 800 of a second, 1,000th of a second, because it freezes the action instantly. And yes, you're clicking, click, 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 click. You cannot time it. You can see something happening. So that's when you want to keep shooting so that one of them is going to capture the piece that you want.
This is for those of you doing the birds of prey shoot tomorrow. Remember that.
I guess no other questions, so I'll leave you guys. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
John. You're welcome to stay if you want to see the challenge, or if you got things to do, that's
Oh, yeah, I
fine.
would like to see that. Yes, I would very much.
Okay, and you can even vote.
And if
now,
it's your image, I can say that it's junk. Is that okay? Can I do that?
sure. Let me mute you first. All right, now the excitement comes to see whether or not I can get the presentation back up on the screen. So hang on a second.
By the way, Bob Casper and his wife are here. And Bob is a member of the Photography Guild also. And Bob and I have communicated on a lot of things together. Enjoy him very much. And his wife is a good artist, painting artist.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, can you see the screen? Can people see the screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. I think my external monitor went out because I'm now just doing it on my laptop. So, but it's working, it appears. So anyway.
Thank you.
So these are our themes for this year. Our April theme is Cityscapes. Next month, it's going to be Natural Light. And all of these themes are listed on the website. So if you ever want to know ahead of time, or if you want to plan for like abstract in October, you can go to the website and see all the themes. Got a couple of rules. Of course, it's you have to be a paid member. It's 1 image per person. The image must be less than 2 years old. No composites for the monthly challenges. You have to be at the meeting or on the Zoom. We do allow you to miss 1 meeting per year. You could submit a photo if you're not able to make the meeting once a year. And then we give out points for 1st through 5th place. So 5 points for 1st, 4 points for 2nd, and so on. And we add up those points, and at the end of the year, we'll announce the photographer of the year. And this year we've upped the ante a little bit, and the winner of the photographer of the year will win $100. You're going to vote by the number of the photo. You're going to vote for your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place photos. Don't vote for the same photo multiple times. And just when you're doing your voting, think about whether or not the image fits the theme. Tonight's theme again is Cityscapes. And at the end of the meeting, you'll send your vote to this email address, and I'll show it again at the end of the meeting. It's vote@ngaphoto.club. So it's not photoclub.com, but vote@ngaphoto.club. And then Lisa, whoops, I accidentally clicked the button. And then Lisa will tabulate the votes, and we'll try to get the images posted on Facebook tonight. So here is, well, okay, here we go. Starting over. Here is image number 1. And I'll go through these a couple times. Number 2. Three. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. And 9. And I'll go backwards with these. So we got number 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And do it one more time, a little bit faster. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Does anyone need to see them one more time? I take that as a no. So send your votes to vote@ngaphoto.club, not .com, ngaphoto.club. I have that it's 8:15 right now. So get your votes in by 8:30, and Lisa will tabulate them, and we will get the winning images. Should be able to get the winning images posted on Facebook tonight.
Sweet.
Our next meeting is going to be on Friday, May 21st at 7 p.m. Our presentation is going to be by Jim Zuckerman. It's going to be on the fundamental ingredients to taking great pictures. And our photo challenge theme is going to be natural light. And that's it. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Thank you, John, for
Thank you, Mike.
speaking with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
And,
John.
and this video
Thank you,
will
John.
hopefully go on YouTube if my screen problems didn't affect the recording. So
Thank
Yes,
you.
everybody
thank
have a
you. Thank
great
you for
evening.
inviting me. Have a good evening.
Thank you for a
Thank you,
great
John.
presentation. Thanks.
I'll see some of you tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Yes, we will.
Everybody have a good evening.
Thank you, and you too.
You too.
All right.
Well,
I'll go put